Alrighty, looks like we're live. I'm here with my frequent sidekick, Artistic Layman.
Hello, everyone.
And my other frequent sidekick, Matt Forney.
Hey there, kids.
And Pastor Tom's also joining us tonight.
Howdy, everybody.
All right, so we got a few topics to cover tonight. First, Forney, did you want to pimp a live stream you were on?
Yeah, and this is more for expediency than anything else. But yeah, last night I appeared on the Weekly Sweat, which is the show hosted by a fellow Bechtloff and I are kind of familiar with. You might have heard of him. His name's Beardsley. And it was actually a pretty good show. I recommend listening on his channel as soon as possible because Beardson, they can't keep the Weekly Sweat episodes up because they're worried about getting flagged, getting a content strike, which is something that Bechtloff is also familiar with. So you got to go listen to it soon, like within the next 24 or 48 hours. But yeah, go check that out. It was a pretty good show about politics, culture, physical fitness, hating women, Gamergate, all the good stuff.
All right. Yeah, it sounds very interesting.
Is it still Honeypot Studios?
No, it's Beardson Beardsley. That's the channel. So,
yeah. So check that out, folks. All right. So a bunch of stuff I want to talk about. But let's move on to the titular topic of tonight's show. The ongoing collapse of Channel Awesome. So there's a few things I've watched a lot of stuff on this. I mean, I've kind of OD'd on fucking internet drama this past few days. Between this and Baked Alaska's career suicide, spectacular career suicide. I've watched a lot of response videos and a lot of Kumite clips and stuff like that. So I was reading a little bit of that Google document on Channel Awesome, and a few things struck me. For one, I mean, there's the stuff Lupa. She probably has one of the biggest complaints of all of them. I feel like she was probably treated the worst among many of them, or nearly the worst, I should say. And in all fairness to her, she did come out years ago, back when, it wasn't fashionable to do so. The one that really got me, because the thing about this is there's not as much as everyone wants to be like that, there's a clear black and white. There's not really a great many people to feel sympathy towards in all this. There's a whole bunch of shitheads.
What did Lupa come out as?
No, she came out against Channel Awesome.
Oh.
Back when they were still cool.
Yeah. Okay, sorry. Yeah.
She came out like 2015, I think it was, about all the terrible things they do back, and she caught a lot of shit for it at the time. She caught a lot of shit for it. Well, they're all good boys. They didn't do nothing. Yeah. Lindsay, though, I mean, the main thing she complains about in the document is that she had to do some joke she was uncomfortable with and to boldly flee because it was kind of a rapey joke. It's like, so fucking what, sweetie? First of all, Lindsay owes these people more than probably any of them, because as much as it pains me to admit it, that girl has made herself a hell of a fucking career online. She's wormed her way into getting a foot in the door at different actual movie studios and shit like that, like as consultants and all to appease their feminist overlords or whatever. That woman's set for life. She owes a great deal to Channel Awesome, to Doug Walker and crew. Oh. And for her to be signing onto this document because they made her do a joke that upset her delicate Puritan sensibilities, that's pretty shitty. Not that I expect better from her, but it's still pretty shitty.
Well, more so than that, I would say she doesn't just owe a great deal. She owes everything to them because she basically had no profile before she got picked up as the nostalgia chick. A lot of the creators with Channel Awesome at the beginning, they at least had their own independence, like Spoonie, for example, or Linkara. What Channel Awesome did for them was give them a bigger audience, but it didn't make them per se. Without Channel Awesome, Lindsay Ellis would have gone nowhere. She'd just be another unemployed film grad.
Exactly.
An unemployed film school grad, I mean.
She owes everything to Doug. And frankly, I don't care if I don't care how harsh the job was for it. It doesn't sound like she got any of the harshness anyways. But boo fucking who? You owe everything to it. And, you know, to some extent, a lot of the whining in this document just sounds like, okay, you know what? It was a shitty job, okay? You know, none of these people bitched until it was convenient to do so, until it was safe to do so. It's just really telling. And I don't, you know, and then you combine that with the fact that, okay, there's all these accusations against JewWario now. And you're going to tell me none of these people knew? These same people that want to bitch about a rape joke here or there, none of them fucking knew. See, I don't buy that. And one of the biggest reasons I don't buy that, Pat the NES Punk did a video. It was one of those videos he does where it's a segment of his podcast that he chops up into YouTube videos. And he's talking about JewWario, and he's talking about the fact that he didn't participate in any of the tributes after his death because he didn't feel comfortable doing so, because basically from the beginning, Pat the NES Punk had spider sense going off about JewWario. He knew something was up with that guy. Now, if you're going to tell me that somebody on the outskirts of this organization who barely had any contact with him could tell, okay, something's not right here, you're going to tell me that the people in that organization had no fucking idea? I don't buy it. I don't buy it. I think they look the other way. And especially when I look at Lindsay and, you know, she's got like Dan Pedo Bear Olson under her fucking wing and shit like that. They look the other way when it was convenient to do so. And once again, it's these same people that want to, you know, Lindsay Ellis wants to crucify this company she was formerly associated with because they made her do a semi-rapey joke into Boldly Flee, which I might add was one of the only fucking funny jokes into Boldly Flee. Congratulations on having one of the halfway watchable moments in that movie, sweetie.
What have we learned today, boys and girls? Boys and girls, we have learned that that bridge has officially been burned.
I say that's an understatement.
I was checking out Mars Girl's comments on it earlier today, and this is not really related, but I think Mars Girl is better looking now than she was 10 years ago because she's finally learned how to use makeup.
Well, at least she didn't turn into a quote-unquote dude like Jesse Otago.
Nah. Well, I haven't followed her too closely, but, you know, maybe she is a shithead now, but I remember back like 10 years ago, she seemed like one of the few Channel Awesome people that's actually probably a decent person. And despite being a chick, she probably was sincerely into. She gives me the impression that she was an actual authentic, you know, geek girl. She wasn't in it just to get attention.
Yeah,
as evidenced by the fact that she never wore makeup and she always looked like shit in her videos.
You know, that's actually one of the things I always found charming about Obscures Lupa was that she always seemed genuine. Lindsay Ellis, on the other hand, never did. You know, she wants to lecture you about feminism and old Transformers cartoons while she's got her tits hanging out. You know, she wants to talk to you about what a big fucking X-Men fan she is because she watched the fucking cartoon in the 90s. It's like, sweetie, I know more about the X-Men than you, and I don't even like the X-Men.
I said, you know, Lindsay Ellis is a friggin', like I said, she's a film school grad who hopped onto a bandwagon, you know. Because otherwise, without this, she would have been stuck waiting tables in L.A. or something.
Yeah, she owes everything to this. I mean, I don't care if Doug Walker personally fucking casting couched her. She got more than she got more than a fair deal in that.
And a lot of the complaints that I saw seem to be that it's like working with amateurs, and it's like, no joke.
Yeah, no shit.
Like, of course you're working with amateurs. Like, did you really think that these people were professional?
And, you know, so much of it just amounts to, like, a bad day at work. Probably everybody in this call, and most of the audience, you've had worse jobs. You've had worse days at those bad jobs. Okay? And what it amounts to with all these people is they had a job that turned out to be not as glamorous as they thought it would be. Shock amongst fucking shocks. And they stuck it out until it was no longer worth it. Welcome to fucking adulthood. You know? I mean, as much as this does shine a light on the inner workings of Channel Awesome, a light that I think we need it shined on them. because this is a shit organization. There's nobody in here where I'm like, oh, you poor thing, let's give you a fucking hug. You know, oh yeah, you had a job that wasn't that good. Oh, so what? Welcome to fucking adulthood. How many of you out there listening have had shitty bosses? And you know what you do when you have a shitty boss? You stick it out until that job's no longer worth it. Maybe you go find a better job. Maybe you stick in that job because you're using it as a stepping stone to something else, which everybody at Channel Awesome had in their mind. And you know, you stick it out till it's no longer worth it, or maybe till you just can't take it anymore. But that's the trade-off of adulthood, you know?
Well, I mean, I think for a lot of people too, it's sort of like realizing, like, you watch these people and they look a certain way, and you're like, oh, that's a funny character. And then with this, like, you know, document, it's like, oh wait, no, this is how they really are.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh, they're not just pretending. This is how they really act.
Behold our collective sympathy.
I'm willing to grant a little bit of sympathy towards Lupa, and I freely admit that I got a bit of a thing for her, so that may color my views. You know, you take my word with a grain of salt, but I respect the fact that she came out against this when it actually was going to cost her something, not when she had the safety of a crowd. And it does sound like she was kind of treated like shit.
Well,
And,
I mean, you know, the story she told that she basically got fired because she was away from her computer for 15 minutes.
And they haven't disputed that, I might add.
All right, that sounds like they were wanting to get rid of her, and that was just an excuse.
No, it could also just be that Mike Michaud, I think, is just severely autistic.
Yeah, could be. And which would be that the other tragedy here is, you know, you got a lot of people who have a lot of potential, and, you know, it's like it almost reaches it and then stumbles, like, right before the finish line. And it never ends up reaching its potential.
Channel Awesome could have been something very, very special. Could have been something very long-lasting. You know, and in this day and age, I feel like we need all the alternative media, and I don't mean just, you know, journalism and politics and stuff like that, but just media in general, that we can get. We need a little bit more competition out there for all the stagnant studios. I like the idea of little guys coming up out of nowhere and maybe giving the bigger guys a run for their money. There's nothing, frankly, more American than that.
Well, that was, you know, the beauty of the internet and all this stuff. It was a meritocracy. You could actually rise based on your own merits and not who's, you know, who you were going down on or who you happen to know. That was the great beauty of it.
What's amazing is how Spoonie ended up being a microcosm for the whole channel.
Yeah, no shit.
Man, he really is. Like, if you look at the channel and then you kind of look at, like, Spoonie's story, like, you really see, like, wow, they're very similar in terms of, like, poor management decisions and just, you know, because of, you know, personal character flaws, you know, you see something and someone that just has, again, so much potential, so much possibility, and it just utterly collapses.
Betrayal!
Indeed.
Something that's quite funny is if any of you remember Mike Givons, who was he was part of Channel Awesome back away. He
Shameful Sequel guys. Yeah, I like him a lot.
Yes, hello, I'm a British person. He actually did a series of videos ripping apart the Channel Awesome anniversary, you know, videos. He did one on Kick-Assy, he did one on Suburban Nights. He did two videos on To Boldly Flee. And he actually, you know, discussed why these movies just suck.
You know, it's funny. To Boldly Flee was the first one I watched because I got into these guys kind of late. And I liked it when I first watched it. It was, you know, it was fun, goofy, stupid shit. And then everyone I talked to said they hated it. And the more I talked to people who had watched Channel Awesome, the more I found that, like, they would all say that there was one of the anniversary videos they actually liked. And it was usually whichever one they watched first. Because the first time you watch one of them, it's a bunch of fucking retards, you know, gathering around doing dumb shit, and it's kind of funny. And then that's it. Like, I tried to watch the later ones after To Boldly Flee, and I just got bored. Like, I tried to watch Kick-Assy after I watched To Boldly Flee, and I'm like, I feel like I've already watched this.
Objectively, the best one is the very first one, which is the critic versus the nerd.
Yeah, I was gonna say
that one's probably
that is
gonna be
objectively
best
because
it has
that one
Chris
actually had a
Rock in it.
build up to it. It had things leading into it, and then that's the first time that you see all of them together. It's very goofy. It's very short to the point, just big out brawl. But just one-liners. That one to me is always the most watchable, and is still the most watchable out of all of them today. Because I used to be I'm not a big fan, but I used to be a fan of these things, watching them, that kind of stuff. Like, not a lot of these people, but I'd watch the Nostalgia Critic, and I'd watch I was in Phaelus. That was about it, though. And Spoonie, of course, when he was doing it. But like I said, I stopped watching back in, I think, 2011.
Well,
I got into it in 2012, I think, and then sort of went to the back catalog.
Yeah, that was. I'd given up on them by 20.
I mean, I've been watching them since like 2008.
I think like you said, Pastor. I think the first one was the best because it was the only one that wasn't insanely bloated and it wasn't trying to be pretentious. Like,
well, if it's got James Rolfe in it, it's probably going to be the best by default.
Yeah, it was just fun,
He's
and
basically
they knew
better
it was fun.
than all of them.
And that was the problem is, back when they sort of knew what they were, which was just a bunch of YouTube guys having fun, the videos were more fun, and but like then they started taking themselves really seriously. Like in the Boldly Flee, it's way too serious. They just, and it's just boring.
They started that with Suburban Nights. Like that was they were starting to do it with Kick-Assia. Kick-Assia is like tolerable. It's not great, but it still has some of that zany sort of, we're a bunch of amateurs having fun moments. Suburban Nights was when they suddenly started seemingly thinking that they were real film producers. And they were putting together a real story, and it was just awful. What I
liked in To Boldly Flee, and again, I haven't watched it since it was basically new, so I mean, I can't defend it that much. But what I liked in it was I liked the evil robot. Linkara was an evil robot for some reason. That had something to do with his videos. I actually liked the joke where he assimilates Lindsay and Todd. Like he turns Lindsay into a fucking 7 and 9 board girl, and he turns Todd into the RoboCop. And it does sound like they're banging when he's assimilating Lindsay. And I actually thought that was funny. It would have been funny if it sounded the same way with Todd too. And I like Spoonie when he was, I guess he was the bad guy from Battlefield Earth or something, but he kept he kept repeating, he kept mangling lines from Wrath of Khan as he's shooting on the other ship. And it just, like I said, it was the first one of those I saw. There was a big goofy energy to it that I liked. It's something I had on in the background. And then, I think a couple weeks later, I tried to go back and watch Suburban Nights, I think it was, and I'm just like, I feel like I already saw one of these, and that's all I ever need to see.
Well, it's like the two central problems with the later reunion movies. Not in addition to the fact that they were too serious, like number one, they were too bloated. And I remember Spoonie talking about this in regards to Boldly Flee. There were just too many people in it. Too many of the site's creators were in the film, and they all had to be squeezed in somehow. And as a result, you ended up with a movie that was 2.5 hours long, something like that. So that was far too long for a movie of this type. And the other problem is simply that they're just not that. These people are not trained actors. They're not trained whatever, and that's not so bad. Like I said, it's a bunch of amateurs. But when you try to have them doing all this semi-dramatic shit, this plot stuff. Oh, and the other issue too. They freely. They just rip off other people's intellectual property without doing any sort of spin on it. Like you say, Spoonie playing Turl from Battlefield Earth. That's not a parody. That's fucking cosplay. It's
well, I mean, it's on the par of those stupid movies like Date Movie or whatever. It's like, oh, it's Thor.
Depending on your
here's Iron Man.
It is about on par with those, and the difference though is I was watching To Boldly Flee on YouTube. I wasn't being expected to pay for it, so that also kind of helps.
Well,
it's true.
Well, there was just a general vein of uncreativity with all this stuff. I mean, they were doing it as early back in 2009. I mean, I've been watching some of Spoonie's old videos, and he got into this doing this in a big annoying way. I mean, the Turl thing was something he came up with, and also cosplaying as freaking Squall at the end of his Final Fantasy VIII review. That's not parody. When you parody is when you do something that transforms the work and makes fun of it. But if you're just playing Squall on screen or just playing Turtle on screen, you're just stealing property. And depending on your interpretation of law, that might actually be outright illegal what they were doing.
Parody is what Spoonie did at the end of his Phantasmagoria playthrough. That's an actual parody, and it's still pretty funny. He's taking elements from the game, and he's lightly poking fun at it. And again, I think it was a fitting end for that Let's Play. Where it's just like all of these really dumb things, like he's got Batman or whatever on the telephone. And it's just all this crazy stuff from the game.
It's just these people just they got too big for their britches, really. A lot of them were just destined to be like internet reviewers and goofy amateur guys. And if they just stayed in their lane doing that, a lot of them would still be fondly remembered. Like someone like Pat the NES Punk, I don't think, well, I haven't followed his overall that closely, but I don't think he ever pretended that he was going to be some big dramatic actor. He was going to be some massive, whatever. He's like, I'm a dude who reviews NES games. That's what I'm good at, and that's what I'm sticking to. Instead, they all had visions that they were going to be like the new Hollywood, and we're all going to be dramatic actors and directors, even though we have no training, no conception of fiction, none of that. So,
well, one of the things, again, where James Rolfe does it better is, he is expanding into other things. He's attempting to do real filmmaking. First of all, he has a background in that kind of thing to begin with, but he's doing that without throwing away the stuff that brought people to the table, first of all. Like, he hasn't abandoned the Angry Video Game Nerd, for example. He works on other stuff, but he also works on that because he knows people want that. Whereas Doug Walker at the end of Boldly Flee said, no, I'm putting Nostalgia Critic away in this big dramatic up my own ass way, and then I'm going to work on this other stuff that nobody gives a shit about.
And then he had to
as much as people hated Demo Reel, and there was plenty of reasons to hate it, I can't help but wonder if they would have hated it less if it wasn't a replacement for something they liked.
Probably not. I mean, and
at least a little bit.
I think it would have been.
I mean,
better.
it was bad, but I think it wouldn't have been as badly received.
Yeah, although like I said,
had a new Coke thing where it's like, not only is this something I don't like, but it's something I don't like that means the thing I like is gone.
Yeah. Well, of course, I mean, to me, I don't know. I would have liked to have seen something like that. Like, now, just because, I like to see people sort of grow and change. They see their styles, that kind of stuff. By and large, though, I think Nostalgia Critic, he just sort of stayed the way that he always was. He changed some things, but by and large, it's just sort of the same thing. And after a while, it gets kind of old. Of course, I think I've mentioned this before, a lot of shows run for, about 7 years, really about, 6 years or so. But if they're good, 7 years. And if they're really good, maybe 8 or 9 years. How long has this been going on? It's like, well, almost 10 years now. Well, it kind of makes sense for it to kind of die out at this point, most shows do.
Well, something like Nostalgia Critic. And I just think, again, the James Rolfe thing is best. James Rolfe does an Angry Video Game Nerd episode when he has an idea for one. He doesn't force them out. If he has an idea for one, he does one. And I actually found when Doug came back initially after he quit it, the first 2 or 3 episodes were actually pretty good, aside from having the demo reel people in it. Because no doubt, as soon as he stopped doing it, in those months when he was doing other stuff, he probably thought of good ideas for Nostalgia Critic in that time period.
Yeah, but see, again, I mean, you take other shows, you take other people like Red Letter Media, and, they were able to sort of evolve Plinkett into Half in the Bag, and I mean, at first that was kind of dumb, but then it's really sort of come into its own to where, not that I really watch these anymore, but if I wanted to, I would much rather watch an episode of Half in the Bag than watch a whole Plinkett review.
Well, that's true.
Well, they didn't beat Plinkett into the ground, No,
that's the thing. Yeah, no, it was
Plinkett reviews, but they're really good. But they're really good reviews. That's the thing. They didn't insist on putting out a Plinkett review every week and then diluting the brand through mediocre and crappy work.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely, I agree. Yeah, that's they were much smarter about it, and that's what I'd like to see. That's unfortunate that didn't happen with Channel Awesome, like.
Yeah, if Doug would have just said, "Look, I can't do these videos regularly anymore. There's other stuff I want to try, and I'm just kind of burnt out on it." but I'm going to do them as I have ideas. It's not over and done with. He would have pissed off a lot less people. And while his other stuff was still shit, he might have had a bit of a warmer reception to it.
Yeah, and if you really wanted to kill him off, you could have sort of killed him off quietly. You know, like he just sort of does less and less and less, and then eventually you don't really. See
well, I mean, that's what James Rolfe did with the Angry Video Game Nerd. You know, he didn't make some big dramatic thing about how he was quitting it. He just posted one day, "Yeah, dudes, I'm not going to be doing these daily, just because I'm kind of running out of ideas and there's other stuff I want to do. But I'll keep doing them. But when I have an idea, he made a blog post, and that was it.
He just did a review of Earthbound that was actually really, really damn good.
Oh, shit. I got to go check that out.
He actually posted it on Amazon initially. He posted a YouTube video where he says, go check out the link down below. You can watch it for free on Amazon or for free without ads if you have Amazon Prime. So that's the other thing he's doing. He's looking to expand without abandoning his base on YouTube.
That's smart with the Amazon Prime stuff.
You know, and that's the thing. The reason he said he joined the Amazon Prime is because he wants to work on actual little short films. You know, and again, he wants to do that without alienating the fans of his existing material.
But I mean, again, James Routh is you know, and I know I just totally mispronounced the name, but anyway, you know, I mean, he seems like someone where he's not perfect, right? But he's got enough of a good head on his shoulders to be able to do this kind of stuff. Like, you know, despite what you think of the movie that he came out with, it's still pretty impressive that he was able to get the money, make the movie again, even if it's not that great, you know, still produce it like that. That shows a pretty good acumen for this kind of material, you know. Like I said, regardless of what you think of it, I'm not saying you have to think it's good or anything, but that's still kind of, you just got to look at it and be like, you know, that is sort of impressive to see an amateur like this be able to do that.
The rumor right now is that Doug Walker has left, that guy with the glasses, has left Channel Awesome.
Oh, shit.
And supposedly on his Twitter, it says former Channel Awesome person or whatever. Now, they just released a Doug Walker video on YouTube, but you have to remember, he no doubt films those things weeks, if not months in advance. But apparently, if I'm to understand this correctly, and I'm hearing all sorts of second, third-hand shit, apparently Channel Awesome and the IP of the Nostalgia Critic are no longer owned by Doug. That is shockingly stupid if he did that.
Wow.
I mean, I could maybe see Channel Awesome because it's a production company, but the IP of the Nostalgia Critic isn't owned by you.
Yeah. So far, you've got Brad Jones and Guru Larry.
And I don't know what the fuck got into Guru Larry. He had a big old fucking rant on Twitter the other day about how he's anti-Gamergate. It's like, wow, you managed to be fucking neutral on that shit all through when it was relevant, and now you want to shoot yourself in the dick?
Is this Larry Bundy Jr.?
Yeah. Apparently his girlfriend changed his mind on it. The power of the pussy.
My place isn't too far away from here. You know what that means.
Big, low-budget, independent film Coke party! Ha ha!
Well, does that work into another transition of somebody else who's shooting their channel in the foot?
Yeah, I suppose we might as well move on to this. Speaking of shooting yourself in the dick, let's talk about Baked Alaska, shall we? Baked Alaska. Luke, do you have that audio clip of Mr. Medicare? I sent it to you on Skype. Even if you just play the very beginning of that video, you'll hear it.
Let's see. Where did it go?
This was Mr. Medicare talking to Baked.
Oh, here it is. Let's see if it just plays right. It just play right after that.
It's the immediate.
Hey, good luck, asshole, with your channel, Bake. Nobody's gonna fucking watch it. And take you down in mediocrity. In mediocrity where you belong, you fucking sellout asshole.
Thank you, Jim. And it's not that often you hear Jim that genuinely mad. Good luck on your channel, asshole. Right before that, Baked was trying to talk shit about how, oh, you don't understand, Jim. You're anonymous. I'm out there with my face. That never goes well. That's not a cross Jim tolerates you getting up on. So Baked Alaska, I don't know, Forney, you want to dive into this? I know you've been talking about him for a lot longer than a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, the lore is kind of complex on this one. We're probably going to need to get a little wiki together to get the canon straight. But basically, starting last week, Baked Alaska brought on this new crew of retards, including a gay guy named Chad, and most importantly, a crazy blonde insane bitch by the name of Sweet Aaron.
The Virgin Chad.
Yes. And Sweet Aaron was insistent on having Baked Alaska clean up his chat, get rid of people who were saying the N-word and making fun of Jews and trying to sanitize it. The fan base revolted because, fucking obvious reasons. Baked Alaska and Medicare had that showdown where Medicare called him out, Baked Alaska out for stabbing his own fans in the back. Sweet Aaron starts doing the blood sports circuit. War skiing are going on. Apparently, Sweet Aaron actually went and showed off her tits on War Ski Live to the hosts after 5 minutes of being on air. There was Baked Alaska and Ralph and Tonka had a showdown on Kumite. That was hilarious because I was rolling. I fell to the ground laughing when the two of them were trying to, Tonka wanted to physically fight Baked Alaska. It's like he's like you're a fake pussy lips, and then Baked Alaska gets off and he takes a call.
Baked Alaska actually said something about I'll fight you in real life, and then Tonka's like, fine, let's set it up. And then Baked is trying to back out of it when and Tonka was having none of it. He's like, come fight me in real life, bro.
Yeah. And Morski's family got doxxed as part of this. Now basically it's calming down now, but basically Baked Alaska has been ejected from the internet blood sports community. He's doing weird incantations on his show because he literally believes this whole thing was a satanic attack against him.
That's the other thing. I'm sorry to interrupt you there, but he's declared war on Warski, on the Kumite guys,
on Medicare,
and on fucking Styx Hexenhammer for reasons no one understands.
Yeah,
because he's a Satanist, so it makes sense. Maybe he thinks it Styx.
He wasn't even involved in this at all. He shows up in the chat in some of these fucking videos, and Bake just pulled that out of it. Like, oh, you're involved too now.
Styx is
okay. Everyone, Baked Alaska's at war with me. This is really stupid. And
Baked Alaska's reasoning for going after Styx. His reasoning for going after Styx was that Styx was shit posting in the chat, the Kumite chat.
Well, so were 1,000 other people.
No, what Styx specifically said was that he quoted a song lyric about how murder should be legal, and in Baked Alaska's mind, that means Styx wants to murder Baked.
See, you can just imagine what Styx would say to people right before he kills them. That's about it. Peace out.
Be the chillest serial killer on the planet. But yeah, it's like
no vest with no shirt nationalism represent.
Yeah,
I thought he was an anarchist.
He's basically a libertarian. I think he uses the label minarchist now, but I'd say his politics are basically the purest form of get off my lawn. But to get back to Baked Alaska, I have some personal history with Baked Alaska, which alludes to me basically not trusting the guy ever and not being terribly surprised that all this shit happened. If being surprised at how big it was and how dumb it was and the specific details of it. But basically, Baked Alaska, 2 years ago, Mike Cernovich hired him to run the MAGA 3X group, which was about getting people. It was a get out the vote effort for Trump. And I was a part of the MAGA 3X group. We ran flash mobs in downtown Chicago, to get people to vote. And because Baked was running the whole show, we regularly talked to him about various stuff and doing various things. I was talking to him one-on-one, and he weirdly tried to invite himself on my show in a way that kind of stunned me. I mean, it's not like when Bechtloff asked to be on my show or I asked to be on his show or whatnot. It was weirdly it's difficult to describe, and I don't have the message anymore since I've been banned from Twitter. But the dude gave me the vibe of he'd be the kind of person who, if I let him borrow my car, he'd do a bunch of meth and then he'd go crash into a bunch of kindergartners. And the other thing too with Baked Alaska is like, in the span of a year, he went from being a Black Lives Matter supporter who was working for BuzzFeed. He became a generic sort of Trump nationalist. After he had his little blow up with Mike Cernovich, he became a white nationalist and alt-righter talking about the Jews. You don't go through that deep an ideological shift over the course of a year unless you're either looking to make money off of people in those niches or you're insane. As we're coming out here, Baked Alaska's a drug addict. He's on meth or cocaine. I mean, as part of the revelations, he apparently was revealed that he has several coke dealers on speed dial. He and Warski were apparently doing drugs together in L.A., which is, and we know that because Baked Alaska himself narked on Warski in a fit of drunken rage. Oh, and this is the most entertaining part. Baked Alaska never actually fucked Sweet Aaron. In fact, she said on a stream that she had a boyfriend and she had no interest in having sex with him. As you put it, Bechtloff, that technically makes him lower than a cuck because he didn't even get to watch. And yeah. Sweet Aaron is a real piece of work. She has her own YouTube channel now. She was streaming regularly. Like, the first thing she did was she streamed an argument she was having with her fucking family, who are understandably trying to get her out of associating with all these freaks. She deleted all of her videos like a couple days ago, but then she went and streamed again last night because she can't let it go. She did one stream where she was answering questions from the chat, and she's like, it's like these BPD women who they have no conception of truth or reality. She's just lying about everything. Okay, she's talking about like, I've never done coke, I've never done any drugs. While she's clearly tweaking out on meth, she's shifty. She can't focus. Her eyes are going in different directions. She's constantly shifting subjects. Her teeth. She actually comments on how fucked up her teeth are, and you'll note she never shows off her teeth in any of her pictures because they're completely, like, half of them are missing, which is actually she has meth mouth. Okay, meth causes you to it dries your mouth out, and it also causes you to grind your teeth. A combination of which, considering that most meth users don't exactly fastidious about their dental hygiene, causes your teeth to fall out and your gums to start rotting. That's what her mouth looks like. And she's trying to tell us she's never done meth. And she's like, I've only ever had sex with one person in my life. And I'm like, bitch, you're sucking off dudes on the regular to get your meth. We can tell the truth.
If you're gonna put the pussy on the pedestal, could you at least put quality pussy on the pedestal, Baked?
I mean, it amazes me though how many people have been like drawn in by her. Because you can just listen to interaction with Mr. Medicare, and you can pick up exactly what kind of person this is there. I mean, just listen to her trying to be. Maybe it's because people haven't seen a girl like this in a long time or something. I don't know, but I mean, she's just sitting here like on a dime, just turning and just like a switch has been flipped. Oh, Medicare, you're right. Oh, I've been really wanting to talk to you. Just sucking up to him left and right. It was amazing. I'm like, come on, this is so obvious. And like, Warski fell for this.
JF, his sidekick, they were both white knighting farts the whole fucking time, and I'm like, at first I thought they were just doing it to fuck with Baked, which I could kind of see. They were like, oh, you're wonderful, Baked's a shithead, and I thought they were just fucking with Baked, which I can understand. But then it became like, I don't think that's what you're doing at this point. I mean, for fuck's sake, Warski, you have a girlfriend. All right,
like, they wanted to bring her.
How could you be this thirsty?
They wanted to make her as a permanent fixture on internet blood sports. And the thing is, like, I can get interviewing her once or twice to, like, for the entertainment value, to maybe fuck with Baked, but what value would she bring to internet blood sports or anything in the long term? She's a serial liar. Actually, I'm not even sure you could call what Sweet Aaron does lying, because, like George Costanza and Seinfeld, if you believe it, it's not a lie. That's how she functions. Her conception of truth and conception of reality changes on a whim based on her emotions. She's unstable. She's probably the kind of chick who will set your car on fire if you were to try and date her. I would not trust this dick. I wouldn't touch this chick with a 10-foot pole. I certainly would not invite her on my show. I mean, I joked about interviewing her in my live stream for, like, personal edification reasons, but I wouldn't make her a permanent fixture of anything I was.
Oh
doing.
yeah, I'd bring her on here just for the shits and giggles, but like once.
Well,
You know,
of course,
and
I mean,
then
like
I
the
think we're
worst
done
one
with
was
it.
between her and who was Baked Alaska's manager, that other girl. What was her name?
Samaria, I think.
Samaria.
Yeah.
That was the worst just interaction. I mean, I was like, come on. When did internet blood sports become, you know, I don't even want to say that would be dirty, but when did it become like, you know, The View, essentially? I mean, that's what it turned into. It's like, come on, guys. What is this nonsense?
God bless
that beer so bad?
Because he's thirsty, dummy.
Yeah, Tonka Saw and Failure over at the Kumite. They were the ones that were like, no, this is ridiculous. What are you bringing her on for?
These guys are very blue pilled on the whole women on the whole WQ, the woman question. I mean, it was evident when Worski had Roosh on for Internet Blood Sports. You know, he's hovering around. You know, he has chicks around like Brittany Venti. What value does Brittany Venti bring to the world? You know, she's just some booby streamer who isn't even that good looking. You know, she looks like she has fetal alcohol syndrome.
I mean, that's how it is kind of with Aaron. I mean, Aaron's not that good looking. I don't understand what people are. Where's the attraction here other than, oh, this is a girl on a camera?
That's
if you
really,
wanted to do
really
that, go
good
watch
picture.
Lauren Southern or something.
Oh,
I mean,
that's a really, really good picture Luke put up, and it's still not that great.
Well, Sweet Aaron has better fundamentals than Brittany Venti, but the problem with Sweet Aaron is that she's such an obvious habitual drug user that she's aging rapidly.
what fundamentals could she possibly have? She constantly shifts her stance on depending on which guy she's talking to.
He meant in her
Physical looks.
makeup.
Oh,
Like she's like Brittany Venti.
Pastor Tom's not quite as in the gutter as we are.
no, I'm married.
Brittany Venti
We're
looks
assessing
like
her as a piece of meat, and he's looking at her as a person.
Brittany Venti is meant. It looks like she's physically retarded. Okay, she's not as good looking as Sweet Aaron,
And her tits aren't nearly as big as Wings of Redemption. I mean, they're nice, but I'm pretty sure Wings got you beat there, sweetie.
I'm pretty sure her tits sag. I mean, she's just the chick that has saggy tits.
Oh Lord, what's with the unicorn thing?
Well, she's just an attention whore. That's what she does. I mean, during that debate with Roosh, she was actually having questions being fed to her from a secret Skype group. Both her and Lauren Southern, actually. So,
Oh, so it's kind of like Hillary Clinton.
yeah.
I just, of all the things to just destroy somebody's channel, of course, you know, it's sad because the internet just brings all of this right up to the surface, and you see people with their character flaws just come out, and it's like, oh my gosh.
Even more so in Baked Alaska's case, because the dude was like streaming every day and streaming like not just every day, but like trying to stream all hours of his life. That's not natural. That's not good. You know, it's like being on the Truman Show.
There's I can't remember the name of it, but Madonna did some sort of documentary thing with filmmakers following her around, and some family member, this was in the 90s, some family member of hers was trying to talk to her off camera, and it's like, don't you want to talk off camera? And she was dating Warren Beatty at the time, and he just snickered and said she doesn't want to live off camera.
Yeah, that's the thing. You know, a lot of what these people are all the drama and stupidity we're seeing, it's just people who can't psychologically handle having the electric eye on them at all times. You know, and to a certain extent, human beings just aren't designed for this kind of environment, which the internet is shining a spotlight on us basically at all hours of the day. For someone like Baked Alaska, who was already psychologically fragile to begin with, it broke him basically. And to be charitable to the guy, the absolute best thing he could do for himself and the people who love him is just to get off the internet, stop streaming, stop social media.
It's time to stop.
Yes, it's stop posting.
Time to play. Wait, no, sorry.
If money is a concern, if you really need to do this for the money, he needs to get a warehouse job, maybe move out to North Dakota or Montana, become a roostabout, you know, maybe go back to college, you know. He needs to do something. He needs to stay away from the internet. And maybe after 6 months, after he's gotten his head together and gotten some perspective in the world, he can come back. What he's doing now is just ensuring that he's gonna. Well, he'll become an epic lolcow. Number one, well, he already is, but he'll become the biggest lolcow ever, and he'll just end up psychologically destroying himself.
Well, YouTube's a great hobby, but it makes a very difficult job.
It's time to stop, okay? No more. Where the fuck are your parents?
Yeah, and a lot of it is just I think people just don't recognize predators because they ever can't believe it, or they're just too sheltered. Like in the case of, like I said, Worski and JF, and their obsession with Sweet Aaron, I think a lot of it is just they don't have enough experience dealing with people like that, or maybe I have too much experience dealing with BPD women and psychos.
Of course, it's been a while since you've seen a woman kind of like Aaron. Like, you know, she used to be a lot more common, like, you know, that type of woman, but they're actually more of a rare breed nowadays. Or at least they sort of mutated. Like, she's much more like, if you listen to her interactions with Medicare, she instantly gets submissive to him. I mean, she is trying to be submissive to him, and then like you can see her trying to manipulate in her submissive. That's not the style that a lot of women go with nowadays. At least not from what I've seen. Which I think throws them off balance.
Well, BPD women these days tend to be more sophisticated. You know, the thing with Sweet Aaron, it's not that her personality type is so unique. Like borderline personality disorder is pretty common among women. BPD-like traits. The issue is that Sweet Aaron has no filter, so she doesn't even attempt to hide it, which is, I guess, depending on how you define things, is respectable. The thing is, you know, people just don't recognize this sort of thing. I mean, I was watching. I mean, this is part of the internet blood sports trauma, but this is kind of amusing. On Worski's stream on Thursday, Ethan Ralph and Nick Fuentes were going at it over the whole Baked Alaska thing, and Fuentes is apparently friends with Baked Alaska, was defending him. And I like Fuentes. I don't know him, but you know, and the fact that he was defending Baked because he was a friend, you know, shows that the guy has integrity. But the problem is, you know, Baked Alaska is not someone I would consider a good friend, or someone I would want in my wheelhouse, you know. And in case of Fuentes, well, he has an excuse. He's only 19, so.
Yeah, I was gonna say, isn't he like 12 or something? I mean, he always looks like a little kid wearing his dad's suit to me. It's just like, I'm always like, oh, look at him. He's a big boy. He's a streamer. Oh, he's a sharp guy. It's just, man, he's just tiny. Like, I want to pick him up.
Yeah, he was getting shit on that on the Beardson stream too for that, you know.
Well, he's just a little guy.
I like Fuentes. You know, he's got a work ethic, which is something you don't see that often these days. You know, he's actually pretty smart, and is actually, you know, well far ahead most kids his age. So he's going places. That kid.
Oh yeah, I like the guy too. He's just, man, he's just a little guy. All right, there's a little bit else I want to talk about, but let's go into the sponsors before we forget, shall we? So we got the sponsors for this show. If you'll go down below this video here, you'll see we got Aaron Clary with Asshole Consulting, where you can get the big brother / fatherly advice you never got. You know, from shithead boomers. You'll see. What was that, Luke?
Just you repeating.
Okay. So yeah, check out Asshole Consulting. It's $100 an hour. But that sounds like a lot, but it's not, because you're not going to use an hour of his time. You're going to use maybe 15 minutes. Unless you want to get a video response, that's a bit more, but you don't have to do that if you don't want to. Also down below, we've got The Sen Vendetta by Ann Sturgeoner, new ebook she has out. Crap. I'm just so unprofessional. I had a summary of it. But okay, I'm going off the top of my head. Forgive me here, folks. I don't remember the character's name, but the main character, she's a former Marine. She goes and she's drunkard. She goes, lives in Europe, ends up becoming a dominatrix, falls in love with some dude. This dude's killed by a bunch of Durkas that shouldn't be in Europe in the first place.
Wait, and Allegrian youth. I'm looking at the description, and it says Allegrian youth beaten to death by a gang of Allegrian youth. Like, Are the streets of Paris just full of narcoleptic thugs?
I thought that was Algerian.
The gangsters of Paris are apparently known for having hay fever and the sniffles.
I thought that was Algerian. But whatever.
I know. It's just funny,
But anyway, so he gets killed by some migrants, and she goes on a rampage, kills one of them. It was a response one drunken night. And then MI6 gets wind of it and then says, we'll drop the murder charges if you finish the rest of them off. Now I'm reading that summary completely off memory because I am incredibly unprofessional and my dumb ass forgot to have the summary in front of me. So I might have a few things wrong, but it sounds like a really good book. She actually sent me a copy. I started reading it. It's pretty damn good. It's definitely worth popping on your Kindle there, folks.
But, Luke was kind enough to put the summary in front of you, so...
Oh, well, I wasn't even looking at the video there.
But that's how professional you are.
I know. I was trying to find it while Luke had it right in front of my face and then gave up on it. And it had a pissy fit and gave up on it. Because that's how professional I am, folks. Nothing but professionalism here at the Bechtloff Podcast. And also, we have the sponsor, Steve's Jerky. And Steve's Jerky is fantastic. I can personally vouch for the wisdom of Aaron Clary. I've taken his advice for free on a few occasions. I can personally vouch for Ann Sturgeon, started the book I pimped. I also read News Quam, pretty good book. And I can personally vouch for some Steve's Jerky. It is fantastic. It is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, I was actually having a conversation with Steve earlier this week, and I found out finally once and for all that it is not possible to import Steve's Jerky to Europe because it's a meat product, and as a result, the only way to get it into European Union territory would be for Steve to get a veterinary certificate from the cow that was killed at the slaughterhouse. So,
or you could try sending it to the Middle East, and then it'll get into Germany, and then from there, it can get to you.
It's actually it's apparently possible to import it to Ukraine when I move there because the Ukrainians will allow it through. They'll just make me pay a 20% tariff on it.
All right. So yeah, Steve's Jerky, absolutely fantastic. I highly recommend it. And not just me. Callers have sung its praises. People in the chat have said it's great. Great stuff. Do check it out. It's what is it? $10 a bag for a 5-ounce bag. If you get 3 bags, I think it is, he covers shipping. It's $5 for shipping, I think. So yeah, fantastic stuff. You can check out Facebook.com, Steve's Jerky. He sells both on Etsy and eBay, I believe. So check it out. And also down below, if you enjoy my highly, highly professional content, you can check out the PayPal where you can send a one-time donation. You can check out the Patreon where you can become a regular supporter. And you can check out the Amazon wishlist. And I've mentioned before, I'll mention it again, any kind of media that's bought for me on the Amazon wishlist, like a book, DVD, video game, what have you, I will do a review of in one of these streams and possibly an animated video if there's enough to talk about. I'm halfway through Jordan Peterson's book, 12 Rules for Life, that I got off the wish list. And I'll be doing a full review of that when I'm done. Really good so far, though. All right. So that is all the e-bagging and shilling that I have for this show. I'll come on other people's streams and e-bag and shill and then leave. Because that's how we roll now.
By the way, visit matt40.com. I'm out of here.
Yeah, I love making that joke on. I think it was at the end of the 140 stream last time. It was like final thoughts, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know what this stream was about. I wasn't paying attention, but if you could all check out my PayPal, my Patreon, and my Amazon wishlist. Money Badger style. Okay, so what else we got? Let's see. Vern Troyer, the actor that played Mini-Me in the Austin Powers movies, he passed away at the age of 49. He was in a hospital for something here recently, and that's what finally killed. I'm not sure what it was, but everyone keeps making mention of his severe alcoholism he had throughout life.
Which, considering he was like 2'8", I mean, just inhaling some beer would be enough to get him a good buzz.
Oh yeah, and I mean he was 49, and that's like 69 in midget years. He was supposedly, though, recently baptized at a church alongside his family. He was trying to get clean. It sounds like he fell off the wagon a few times since then. So, sounds like he might have made his peace with his maker. So
you might be amused by this fact. Apparently, his parents were Amish, but they left the Amish cult when he was a kid. So,
that's interesting. So yeah, that's kind of sad. He's a fun little addition to some movies. Midgets are always fun. There's just no getting around it.
They're good, jolly people.
Yeah. So yeah, press lowercase f to pay respects. Let's see what else we got. I put some articles here on the side. Okay, let's talk about this one law out in California. I heard a little bit of this on Breakpoint earlier, the weekend show on the radio. Now this is off of nationalreview.com, so take it for what it is. California progressives launch another attack on free speech by David French. Oh, David French. I hate the fact that I'm reading a David French article. On Sunday, let me see if I can find this. Okay, so Assembly Bill 2943 would make it an unlawful business practice to engage in, quote, a transaction intended to result or that results in the sale or lease of goods or services to any consumer, unquote, that advertise, offer to engage in or do engage in, quote, sexual orientation change efforts with an individual. The bill then defines sexual orientation change efforts as, quote, any practice that seeks to change an individual's sexual orientation. This includes effort to change behaviors or gender expressions or to eliminate or reduce sexual or romantic feelings towards individuals of the same sex. That's it. That's incredible. I mean, first of all, that's a blatant violation of the First Amendment for whatever the fuck that's worth anymore. But that is insanely broad. I mean, basically any kind of conservative Christianity teachings on sexuality are forbidden to be sold in book forms in California right now. Well,
you do know that is their intent. If they're not cowardly enough that they're too cowardly to outright state it.
I mean, anything that says that, hey, maybe you shouldn't be a bug chaser is now illegal in California.
Well, there's even been musings of that maybe the Bible should be banned from bookstores. They haven't come out, but people have been mentioning that because of what the Bible itself says about that.
It kind of made it obvious that California is currently the mouth of Satan on planet Earth.
Bunch of slap-jawed faggots around here.
Indeed. Thank you, Jesse. Yeah, this is this is pretty fucking bold even for California.
Well, that's what happens when you got a one-party state and everyone to the right of Karl Marx is now living in Nevada or Arizona.
Good thing you got out of there when you did.
Yeah, I still have a few friends that live in California, and honestly, thoughts and prayers to them.
Well, we need to encourage them all to move so that God can finally wipe it out.
You've dragged your lumpy leftist balls across the chin of every other sovereign state in the West Coast with such unerring abandon that at this point the whole California sinking into the sea trope is less a theory than a forlorn fucking hope.
You remember the good old days when gay activists and trans activists were just like, we want the right to love too, we want freedom. How quickly it turned from that to bake the fucking cake, you bigot, to don't dare criticize us in public, you bigot, or we'll throw you in prison. Now we won't even let you read books that disagree with us. How quickly it turned into that.
For the longest time, I had that idea of them, that they just wanted to be left alone. And while I didn't approve of their lifestyle, I can respect that. I mean, you know, as I've said many times, you know, get off my lawn is my primary motivation, political motivation. So, but that's not what they want at all. They want to silence every single voice that doesn't throw them a fucking parade, because in their heart of hearts, they know they're wrong. Okay. A human being knows that he shouldn't cut his dick off and put a dress on. And, like, a man knows he shouldn't cut his dick off, put himself in a dress, and call himself Sally. Like,
or take it and stick it in another man's butthole.
Yeah, he knows that. All right. He can't unknow that. All right. You know.
Yeah. No, I thought the same way for a long time. Then I realized I was just giving up ground.
Yeah. Like, you know, all this crap about we don't want the government in our bedroom. That's fine. I don't want the government in your bedroom either. I want your bedroom on Main Street. And at this point, I'm beginning to realize maybe everyone was right to push you into the closet. You know, maybe all this has to end with either the closet or the rooftop. How about that? Maybe that's where this is going, guys.
Now, at this track, California will have legalized rape gangs in about 4 or 5 years. We're gonna, but they won't be called that. They'll be called same love tolerance compliance squads.
Or Europe.
You know, it's not even that bad here. I mean, let's just put it real. In many ways, American degeneracy puts Europe to shame. Like I've talked about the abortion issue. Abortion laws in the U.S. are far more left-wing than they are in Europe. In most of Europe, it's illegal to have an abortion past the first trimester.
Yeah, I know. That's so weird, right? It's like, oh, we've got to be like Europe with the healthcare and gun control. But when it comes to abortion, what do they know?
Well, the thing is with a lot of like the smaller countries here, they don't want expanded abortion rights because, well, there aren't that many of them to begin with. Of these, like the Baltic countries, for example, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania. You know, they've got populations of like barely, not even like 5 million each. And these are and a good portion of their population are ethnic Russians who were trucked there after World War II. If they liberalize abortion laws, there's going to be even fewer of them, especially considering that in all of Europe right now, fertility rates are underwater. That's a big motivator in keeping the laws, you know, relatively strict. And from what I understand, Poland basically wants to make abortion laws even stricter right now, which is good on them. You know, I mean, I kind of felt like abortion the same way, you know, Bechtloff felt about like the gay rights issue. I was kind of indifferent on the thing. I become pro-life for both, realizing the moral issue, and also because like the thought of the fact that the idea, even the mere idea of restricting abortion causes liberals to go in an absolute tizzy probably indicates to me that it's a good thing. Okay. The fact that they completely lose their shit over it.
I'm starting to move that way on abortion too, not so much because of the issue itself. I mean, I always had problems with the later terms of it, but early, you know, I'm not necessarily one of these guys that life begins right at conception. And, you know, if you can show me there's brain activity, that's kind of where I'll draw a line. But early, like the morning after pill or something, I don't care. I don't care in the slightest. But at the same time, there's just no denying the absolute ghoulishness of the fucking pro-choice lobby anymore. I mean, if I found out tomorrow the abortion industry is run by vampires who are harvesting the blood of fetuses, I wouldn't be shocked at this point.
Well, we already know they're harvesting their body parts.
Well, there actually was, I believe, an abortion doctor about 10 years ago who was arrested because he was literally eating a baby body parts.
Oh.
Like he'd extract the fetus and then he'd grill it up for a feast.
Now, is that red meat or white meat? I'm not sure.
Well,
other white meat.
Well, are human beings red meat or white meat? Somebody look that up.
Well, it did prove what we've all known instinctively for years. Leftists really do eat babies.
Oh, I have a perfect clip for this. Oh, where is it?
I remember one time. I can't remember what it was, but I was watching a commercial with a friend, and it was some sort of commercial for like a children's charity, and it said like, children are our most abundant and precious natural resource. And I looked at my buddy and I'm like, are we going to start burning children for fuel now? I mean, I'm not totally opposed to that though. Some kids suck. The difference is though, I was joking. I wasn't talking about grilling them up.
Mr. English Colonel telling me to lose weight. Oh, I'm a hard case, he says. Well, listen up, Sonny Jim. I is a baby. Oh, aye, baby. The other white meat. Baby, it's what's for dinner.
Oh, man.
Lord, I had a Mike Myers joke and I didn't even know it.
What's for dinner? Well, I mean, we live in a world where it's like, you know, oh, come on, Alex Jones. It can't be that bad. Oh, they're all satanic pedophiles.
This may seem like an ambiguous statement to make, since those of Baroque sexuality have often in sneering and pushy voices asked, "Are you threatened by my sexuality?" Or at least they used to. Now, of course, we know that that question was in itself a threat. The fullness of it, including the unspoken portion, would go something like, "Are you threatened by my sexuality? Well, if not, just you wait. You'll be paying astronomical fines for not wanting to bake a cake for my wedding, or
Next, they'll be throwing us in prison for not wanting to submit to butt sex. Oh, it's coming. It's coming. Unless something is done.
What about putting meth up your butt? Does that count?
I don't think so.
I'm just wondering if certain people are safe.
Well, you know, that individual is has been booked on yet another charge. So, you want to mention this, or is it?
Go ahead. I can't defend him anymore.
Christopher Cantwell got his dumb ass arrested again in Loudoun County, Virginia, for public swearing and public intoxication. He got arrested for swearing. Keep in mind, that law only exists on the books so the cops can bust people who are exceptionally belligerent assholes. How much of a retarded asshole do you have to be to get yourself arrested for being drunk in public? Like, did he just whip his dick out and was like urinating in public? Was he flashing people? Was he running? Did he pass out naked? Did he slap a cop? Did he choke a bitch?
Is Cantwell gonna have to choke a bitch?
The best part is his bond hearing for what he went through in Charlottesville is coming up in a few days, and because of this, there's a very good chance that he'll have his bond revoked, and then he have to go back to jail.
Plus, the whole threatening people on Gab. I'm sure that's going to go over well too. I mean, that might not come up. Maybe they don't even know Gab fucking exists, but it's not something I would be doing in his position.
Well, I'm issuing this challenge to Cantwell now because I'm afraid he'll end up in jail before this can be done. I challenge you to an episode of Internet Blood Sports.
That'd be fucking fantastic.
Matt Fortin versus Christopher Cantwell.
Well, he's currently
it didn't go so well last time.
He's currently begging Worski to let him on his show, so this is a perfect spark here.
Why don't you guys just take your friend Beerson Beardley and make your own Internet Blood Sports?
we can work that out. I'm apparently part of the Matt Forney redemption arc, so this can be part of it.
All right, so moving on. Speaking of sexuality, I guess we're going to move on to the retard sex portion of the show. So, Luke, if you could bring up the Fox News article you'll see on the side here. Smallville actress Allison Mack arrested for alleged sex cult involvement. I personally, I'm looking to find out how I can join. Smallville actress Allison Mack was arraigned on Friday at a federal courthouse in New York following her arrest on sex trafficking and conspiracy to commit forced labor charges as part of an alleged sex cult, Fox News confirmed Friday. Woo fucking lad. The 35-year-old, oh, she's my age, was last seen in March running after purported cult leader Keith Rainier. Okay, as police hauled him away. God damn it. Is that on your end there, Luke? What is that?
What is?
Hang on a second. I think I'm hearing a pop-up ad. Am I? Am I the only one hearing it? Okay, yeah. Okay,
Yes,
so
you
I
are.
can't. God damn it! I'm hearing some. I'm hearing some sort of pop-up ad in this.
Well, the good thing is that Luke has the article up on the screen now, so you can just.
As police hauled him away from a $10,000 a week Mexican villa where the pair had reportedly been hiding out. I have no comment on the arrest this afternoon. Allison Mack, a rep from the Star, told Fox News, but the New York Post reported that Mack pleaded not guilty. Rainier, the co-founder of the self-help organization and alleged cult NXIVM, stands accused.
It's pronounced Nexium.
Nexium. Okay. Nexium stands accused of keeping numerous women as slaves and branding his initials into their skin. He was arraigned last week on the same charges as Mack and was denied bail as he awaits his court appearance on April 27th. Mack appeared in Smallville, a TV series about a young Clark Kent from 2001 to 2011 before dedicating her life to Nexium and Rainier. And apparently now we know who sings the song Save Me.
All right. I would just like to announce I have a self-help group I'm starting, the Bulbasaur group. You will have to have my initials tattooed on your ass. It's women only. Because I didn't know you could do this. Like, who fucking...
Well, the whole point of finding a cult is just to get pussy. I mean, it worked for Charles Manson. It worked for Jim Jones. It worked for that other guy, that cult that Joaquin Phoenix was born into.
Oh, we got our flag.
It worked for Sean in Boy Meets World.
Oh, that's what flirty fishing. That's what it was called. Flirty fishing for Jesus.
Okay, so according to Nixon's former publicist, Mack came up with the idea of a secret society of women within the organization that would be branded near the groin area. All right, this is lovely so far. She was the principal recruiter of young slaves. They nicknamed her Pimp Mac. This is fantastic. Can you scroll down a little bit more, Luke, there for me?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so Nash's fellow Smallville co-star Kristen Kurt was also accused of helping to recruit women as sex slaves. She denied the allegations. The 35-year-old said in a statement posted to Twitter that she took a Nexium course when she was 23 to help her battle her shyness. Sounds like it worked. But left the group after 5 years ago. When I was about 23, I took Executive Success Programs Intensive, what I understood to be self-help personal growth course that helped me handle my previous shyness, which is why I continued with the program. I left about 5 years ago and had minimum contact with those who are still involved. The actress denied she has any influence within the group and was not involved in its Dominus Ubiquus Sororium, which translated from Latin to master over the slave woman. Oh man, this sounded like a party. The accusation said that I was in inner circle or recruited women as sex slaves are blatantly false. During my time, I never experienced any illegal or nefarious activity. I'm horrified and disgusted by what came out of DOS. Rainier is accused of masterminding and overseeing a system in which women were told the best way to advance was to become a slave overseen by masters.
Wait. So you had Mac involved with DOS.
Wait a second. I gotta get this quote now.
They were also expected to have sex with him, do menial chores for master, and to keep the arrangement a secret, or face public humiliation. The criminal complaint states against him states. I'm not entirely sure where any of this is illegal yet. Investigators said Rainier preferred exceptionally thin women, so slaves had to stick to very low-calorie diets and document every food they ate.
So not only are they slave groups, but they're also not progressive.
Women who didn't follow orders were required to attend classes where they were forced to wear fake cow udders over their breasts while people called them derogatory names. Well, at least they didn't have to eat a whole bag of apples. Or threatened with being put in cages. Put in cages, court paper said. He needs to be held accountable for every woman and every underage girl that he has harmed. Well, okay, aside from the underage girl thing, I have not seen anything in this that sounds illegal. Oxenberg, an actress known for her role in 1980s primetime drama Dynasty, Has a daughter, India, who is currently involved in the group.
Isn't human sex trafficking illegal?
Well, I don't think if
Hello,
people
my man.
volunteer to be your sex slave that's illegal. I mean, it doesn't sound like anybody was forced. Okay, if there's underage people, that's a different thing. But it doesn't sound like anybody was forced into this group. It's not like they kidnap people off the street.
Well, you know, they could
I don't know.
probably.
Sometimes that recruiting is kind of a way of enslavement. I mean, they say recruiting, but I think it could be luring in a sense.
They can probably hit them on the. They can hit them on the Mann Act at bare minimum. That's the law that makes it illegal to traffic women across state borders for immoral purposes.
Well, possibly. Like I said, for the most part, other than any underage stuff, I mean, this just sounds like a fucking kinky sex group. I mean,
well, the thing is,
it seems like a lawyer could probably
what they're doing,
defend against a lot of this, unless there's underage.
Well, the blackmail is illegal. Like the women who are in the group are blackmailed with like nude pictures.
Blackmail is illegal.
But I have some I have some insight on this because Nexium is actually headquartered in Albany, New York, which is where I used to live, and I actually still have some family in that area. They have, or I should miraculously say had, because I moved out of there. I lived there 10 years ago, and I haven't really followed it since then. They had a ton of influence over the local government. Albany is probably one of the most heavily Democratic cities in the Northeast. Like, it has not elected a Republican mayor since World War I. So they had their operatives all over the city government, as well as in the town in which they were based, Colony, which is just outside of Albany. In fact, in 2009, I believe it was, they actually led a campaign against the local Republicans because they were a little bit critical of Nexium and their little MLM practices. Like Nexium sells itself as basically a multi-level marketing operation, like sort of like a left-wing version of Amway. But they do all this sort of creepy stuff and all this community outreach, like blah blah blah. Like they sponsored an appearance by the Dalai Lama back in 2009. But Nexium led a campaign against the Republicans in Colony, and that year they were successful. All but one Republican lost re-election on the town board election that year. They were some seriously creepy motherfuckers. And the
sex cult was seriously creepy.
Yes, they were. And this was a long time coming. This was a long time coming. I didn't expect it would happen like this, but I'm glad to see these people finally getting taken down. They were seriously. I mean, Albany, that whole area is kind of a shithole in general, but they were seriously making it a lot worse. Nexium.
Sounds like something you would take.
Oh, they took it all right.
Well, their whole thing was like providing like corporate corporate seminars and shit like that. One of the creepier things is let me pull up this detail.
Give it corporate seminars. That just made me think of the movie Secretary.
Yeah,
just talking about BDSM slaves and now a corporate environment.
Yeah, they had to refer to. As part of these seminars, they had to refer to Keith Rainier as Vanguard and to his associate Nancy Salzman as Prefect, which is totally not creepy at all.
Those are some of the most boring kinky names I've ever heard.
Yes,
you will call me Prefect.
That's not something you want to yell out in sex.
Richard Branson was a major booster of Nexium. They're also connected to Carlos Salinas, who was the former president of Mexico. They got their tenterhooks in a ton of shit. So,
well, it sounded like Mac is quite the. She was quite good at being the alpha bitch in the harem. So
she was the bottom bitch. She was. And I would say this, she may be a creepy, she's a mama-san. She's a pimp, and she's creepy. But I would totally rail the shit out of her.
Oh, hell yeah. When I thought she was leading the cult, I was ready to join.
Well, I'm pretty sure they don't allow men to join. Like, you'll note that the only people they mention are the women. Because there aren't any men. The only man in it, I'm pretty sure, is Rainier himself.
Does that also apply to Bulbasaurs, though?
Quite possibly. Well, one thing I do disagree on is he apparently he likes stick thin women, and there was apparently one woman who starved herself in the cult, who starved herself to the point where she stopped getting periods.
Oh wow,
that's terrible.
I mean, I like my women super thin too. It's just really nice, but I want them to function. Like if your harem is full of people who are tired because you're waking up at odd hours of the day, and they're starving because you only allowed them to eat a couple of peas per day, how useful are they going to be in the sack, really?
Well, I mean, I want a skinny little waist, but I want some tits and an ass to go with that.
You gotta have energy, to service your man. You gotta have energy, Sex with someone who hasn't eaten in a few days is kind of lame, and I know this from experience. Ahem.
Storyteller, question asker, music lover, theater goer, movie obsessor, Shakespeare studier, globetrotter, food inhaling woman of 34 and counting.
Sex cult guardian.
Pimp Mac.
Pimp Mac. Is Allison Mack gonna have to choke a bitch?
It's like there's that quote about a man's name being a curse he can never really escape from, and her name is literally Mac, and she found a career as a pimp.
What's that song from the '90s? Return of the Mac.
Yeah.
Hello, I'm a Mac, and I'm a PC.
It's like how friggin'. Like how Mundane Matt ended up being a total non-entity.
I kind of wanted to do a parody video of Mundane Matt called Banal Bechtloff with like a Bulbasaur skull icon or something. But I tried to record something, but it's like, how do you do an impersonation of Mundane Matt? Like, how do you do an impersonation of nothing?
Hello, guys. This is Mundane. Not even that has too much character.
Yeah, I can't drain myself of enough of a soul to do an impersonation of Mundane Matt.
You'd have to use a screen cap of that huge vagina hole in the ground from The Last Jedi.
Yeah, but that means you actually have to watch that part of the movie, or at least watch anything of that movie.
Yeah, I haven't watched Last Jedi.
You could marathon all of his videos. Maybe that would suck your soul out enough to get the impression.
Turn off that pesky ad block. Turn off that pesky ad block.
Well, if you're wondering what Mundane Matt is doing now, and I have no idea why you would, but hear you out there, he's apparently at the Kilroyd event in
let me bring this up.
And he's currently shilling and trying to pretend it isn't a total disaster.
Somebody sent me something on Gab. It was a tweet from Medicare. I'm gonna see if I can bring it up. But it's just holy shit. Like the wooest of lads. Come on. Where's it? Here we go. We was Medicare. I'll throw this in the chat so you can throw it up here. The wooest of woo lads. Like, there's like 9 people at these panels.
There's more. There's more panelists than audience members.
I have been to like shitball, low-run Comic Cons that just started up, and they're in some hotel room where panels on just the dumbest shit you can imagine get more people in them. Slower than expected, but not as low as some are reporting. Are some people reporting that no one showed up, Matt?
Apparently.
Are some people reporting that it was canceled? Because otherwise...
It is symbolic that he's like probably the most famous person there. Him and Christina Hoff Sommers, who's a pretty much of a failure in her own regard.
Oh, jeez.
I'm surprised Kilroy even happened, considering the anarchy with Kraut and Tea back in December. I thought that would have killed it off for good.
Waiting for the crowd to show up.
Local spelling bee versus Kilroy.
Get like a skeleton meme of the meme of the skeleton saying, "Surely the Kilroy audience will show up soon."
No, he's got a picture of one which is like a local spelling bee and it's packed, and then you got the Kilroy. There's nothing there. There's no one there.
Oh, jeez. I just saw that video of Monday Matt pulling the trigger on himself. I saw that picture.
There it is.
Just cock my shit up, fam. Let's see.
Speaking of which, I would love to challenge Monday and Matt to internet blood sports as well. I don't even have any particular animus against him. I just want to fuck his shit up.
I would just like to beat the shit out of Monday Matt. And no, that's not a threat. Before anybody clips that out of context, I'm not saying I would do it. I'm saying I would enjoy doing it because he is perhaps the definition of a punchable face.
Well, look at that expression on his face. He's got that stupid, soy boy inverted grin of people who are potentially pissed off. He's got one eyebrow raised like he's some sort of pretentious hipster. He's perfectly coiffed his neck beard, and he's got the smart horn rimmed glasses. Because look at me, I'm smart. I'm an intellectual. I wear glasses. And what the fuck is going on with the left part of his lips? What's that black hole? Is that the black hole of his of his identity? The black hole of his soul?
It really does look like if some fucking voodoo ritual removed the soul out of Kevin Smith. Like remove the soul and about 50 pounds out of Kevin Smith, and you have Mundane Matt. And that's not even that Kevin Smith has that well defined of a fucking personality. But at least you could talk to him for more than 5 minutes without wanting to punch him in the face.
Also note that in Mundane Matt's Twitter picture, he actually looks like he's reasonably in shape. But how long must have taken him a long time to get that angle? Because in every other normal shot, he looks like a fat fuck.
All right. Moving on. Let's shit on the baby boomers for a while, shall we? The worst generation. Luke, could you throw up an article that I just put in the side there? Now, I shared this on Gab a little earlier today, and I didn't get a chance to really read the article. I just kind of skimmed it. I prefer to read it on air, get my natural reaction to it. But boomers embrace luxury van lifestyle. Empty nesters and retirees abandon RVs for the freedom and mobility of coveted high-end vans. And I shared this on Gab, and I had a little quote before it. I said, "Never before has a generation worked so hard at finding new and creative ways to ensure they leave their children and grandchildren nothing." And I got an interesting little response. Luke, let me see if I can bring up this guy. Gab.
The Gab quote, yes. Where are you?
I want to bring up this guy's. I gotta scroll through. I got a bunch of responses here. So this cocksucker, whose name on Gab is Beatles Baby, and his handle is I Feel Fine. All right, bring up his fucking thing because I'm sure it's full of all kinds of boomer posting. So this cocksucker shows up in my mentions, and he's like spoken like.
The quote is 404.
Oh, go ahead and just. I think I deleted one of the Gabs because I'd fucked something up in it and just reposted it. So that's probably why I.
Oh, here we go. Here's his profile.
Okay, so he responds to me.
Ooh,
go ahead, Tom.
Can I read it?
Sure, if you want.
Spoken like an ignorant whiner. You know nothing about the boomers. We gave the world the internet. You sack of expletive and rock and roll. What has your generation done? Nothing less being the most obese, tattooed, and gender-confused people in history. Our accomplishments. Get bent. I grew up in a household of 11 supported by World War II vets who fixed dishwashers. We had nothing. It took me 45 years to make my millions. I'm entitled to them. I'll get more joy spending them now than an a-hole like you cry about it. P.S. Muted your whiny butt.
Okay, so before that, he had responded to me. The boomers earned every minute of enjoyment they get. We started work as teens. We babysat when we were too young to get a work permit. Yeah, because I never had jobs before I had an official job. I never dog sat or mowed lawns. We worked in canaries and peach orchards. We walked to these jobs all over town. Motherfucker, I didn't own a car till I was 18. All right, I walked for my first jobs too. Walked to and from school every day. Oh, uphill in the snow both ways.
15 miles and barefoot.
Okay. Now, here's the thing. We earned every minute of that enjoyment. Look, I'm not saying you're entitled to an inheritance from your parents or your grandchildren or anything like that. I'm just saying, what kind of sick fuck doesn't want to leave something for later generations, right? And also, this guy's name is Beatles Baby. For fuck's sake, I couldn't get over laughing at the fact that this guy's a Beatles fanboy. Fuck you. All right? The Beatles were a boy band. All right? They sang shitty, just disposable pop music. And there's nothing wrong with that per se, but it's pretty fucking cringy to still be going on about it 50 fucking years later. Do you think Gen Xers, when they're like 60 and 70 and 80, are going to still be talking about the fucking New Kids on the Block like it was high goddamn art? I don't think they will. All right.
Interesting profile he's got going here. Irish, Catholic, patriot, lifelong Democrat who bailed on board the Trump train. I love my country, my religion, nature, animals, cooking and eating, books and good wines. God bless Donald Trump. Lively female in photo above is my darling mother.
So I responded
we're talking about someone who was so mentally retarded he couldn't figure out that Democrats were an anti-white party until 2 years ago.
And to your point, Bechtloff, it's like, okay, they've taken the country, they've taken the planet, they ruined the planet, they ruined the country, they ruined the economy. You can't. So, given all of that, well, I mean, if you're not going to leave us a country, you're not going to leave us an economy, you're not going to leave us much of a future. Maybe you could leave a little bit of money, soften the blow. No, okay.
I responded to him. I said, "Go suck John Lennon's cock some more, Grandpa. Your generation inherited a dream nation where you drug-addled retards threw God out of the public square, wrecked every institution, and racked up astronomical levels of debt. Oh, and you threw your parents in nursing homes and were latchkey parents to your kids."
This guy's complaining about young people being obese. Like, the fucking boomers are the fattest generation ever. I mean, fucking George Carlin did that, bit 20 years ago, talking about boomers having to wear fat-ass Docker pants because they couldn't keep their fit hands off the Haagen-Dazs.
Never before has a generation inherited. And by the way, he mutes me after popping up in my fucking mentions. And talking shit. And when he realized I was going to throw shit back at him, he ran away like a little bitch because the boomers are fucking bitches.
They have no ability to bance or insult. That's part of the reason why I don't use Gab anymore. Like, if it's not retarded neo-Nazi LARPers, it's boomers who have no wit, no wisdom, nothing.
Well, look at this guy. He contradicts himself. At one point, he says, the opportunities are there. They're just too spoiled, whiny, and entitled to take advantage of them. And then the very next one, I did the similar. The opportunities are no longer available because the education system has been largely destroyed by cultural Marxists. Like, within the same thread, the dude contradicts himself.
Never before has you can point to problems of any generation. Lord knows. I sort of I'm a very old millennial or I'm a very young Gen Xer, depending on exactly where you draw the line. And Lord knows both of those generations got a shit ton of problems. All right. But none of it matches the boomers. Okay. Never before has a generation been handed so much and given back so little. It's staggering. The United States of America, when the boomers were in their 20s and 30s, you are talking about the most material wealth our species has ever fucking seen. And they left the world with staggering debt, the likes of which no one has ever seen. Those are facts. Okay, numbers don't fucking lie, you John Lennon fanboy.
Well, the thing about the boomers is that they're so ideologically flexible. They have no concrete fixed beliefs. Well, so does Gen X, but Gen X is an entirely different animal. The boomers, basically, in the 60s, they were all like free love. In the 60s and 70s, they were all free love liberals. Let's do it in the road. Let's do all these drugs. Then in the 80s, they suddenly got and they were all socialists back in the 60s and 70s because spread the wealth, blah, blah, blah. Then they started, after they accumulated some wealth in the 70s, in the 80s, they suddenly became hard free market Republicans. We got to curb the excesses of the welfare state, and we have to get the war on drugs and throw people in prison for smoking pot because that's bad. Even though we did it when we were in our 20s, and we need to curb the welfare state, even though we were on welfare in our 20s. It's their beliefs are based around what happens to be good for them at any particular moment. They help motivate the fucking housing crisis was totally a boomer thing. The reason it's impossible to get property in any of these fucking
because these dumbasses were running up the fucking arms, the adjustable rate mortgages, which I remember when that was explained to me, and I thought, who in their right mind would sign the fuck up for that? And if that's not bad enough, this is the generation that's popularized the fucking concept of the reverse mortgage. Like, just you really want to make sure you leave the grandkids not a goddamn red cent.
Yeah, the boomers are so wretched. They've invented forms of degeneracy that even the Bible couldn't come up with. I mean,
they are the most narcissistic, selfish fucking generation. They were socialists when they were poor. They were fucking, Gordon Gekko capitalists when they were rich. They threw their parents in fucking nursing homes the moment it was convenient. They riddled up their fucking latchkey kids because that was easier than being a parent. Everything about them was me, 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 me.
And you know what? I really love hearing their whining about how they might not get the entitlements they're entitled to. Like, boomers are particularly...
The only thing boomers are entitled to is the goddamn ice flow.
They feel entitled to Social Security. They get mad over potential, Social Security cuts and hearing about the program might be broke. Because I paid into it. I should get the money.
That reminds me.
They don't understand that their hero, Ronnie Reagan, back in the 80s, ran up the deficits, and as a result, that money you boomers paid in, it's gone, dipshits. It's gone for the same reason that if you earn $100 and you spend $200 and you have negative $100 in your bank account, you're not entitled to the $100 you had anymore because you spent it, you dipshits.
I remember when the Obamacare debate was first happening, when like 2009, 2010, something like that, when Obama was pushing fucking Obamacare, right? And there was this group, and I think it was called like 60 Plus or some shit like that. It was the quote unquote conservative alternative to AARP. And they're asking this cocksucker on Fox News, why do you oppose Obamacare? And he said, the reason we oppose Obamacare is it's going to hurt Medicare. It's going to hurt Medicaid and Medicare.
There were actually people.
Think about this. His argument. Now, Obamacare was a fucking disaster. Don't get me wrong. But his argument against Obamacare is, I don't want other people to get a handout because it might, not even will, might affect my ability to get a handout.
There were actually
evil fucking generation. And that's the quote unquote conservatives among them.
There were actually people back when the Tea Party was raging, 2010. They waved signs like that literally said, "Keep your government hands off my Medicare."
Oh, I hate the conservatives, quote unquote, amongst the boomers even more. You fucking worthless Viagra Republicans that never managed to conserve a goddamn thing. Spent the last 10 years pulling your pud to Megyn Kelly.
Well, you're wrong, Bechtloff. They did manage to conserve at least one thing. They conserved their paychecks.
God, I hate that generation. And don't come at me with the not all boomers are like that. Yeah, you know what? My father's a boomer, and he's pretty fucking amazing. All right? He very rarely falls into the negative stereotypes of his generation. Frankly, it's only being the really cringy way he clings to the fucking 1960s music is the only boomer thing he does. All right? But by and large, never has a more vile generation walked this earth since the goddamn times of Noah.
Well, actually, let me add another thing of the sins of the boomers. The whole war in military-industrial complex is thanks to them. Back when they were young enough to die for their country and listen to the military, they all dodged the draft to Vietnam because I don't want to go over to kill babies, and it's an unjust war, and peace. They all fled to Canada, or they all lied about having like a busted knee or whatever. That's a wonderful example. But then they went and lied us into the war in Iraq and started getting all super patriotic and support the troops and blah blah blah. Because of like some weird combination of guilt and also some fuck these people.
Here's the thing: boomers are obsessed with like cowboy fiction and movies and World War II fiction and just learning all they can about the Civil War and World War II and shit because they want to feel like actual men, the boomers among them, when they didn't do a goddamn thing manly in their fucking lives. But yeah, that's another good point. The war in Vietnam, isn't that something? Boomers got asked to go die halfway around the world for no goddamn good reason. And rather than take that lesson and say, hey, maybe we shouldn't do that to our kids, they went halfway around the world. They went and sent not only their sons, but worse yet, their fucking daughters to go bleed out in the Mideast sand for no good fucking reason.
And the worship of women among boomers, oh my God. I mean, you get some of this with people like Jordan Peterson. I like Jordan Peterson, but God almighty, it's like boomers are completely incapable of seeing any sort of reality about sex. You know, their idea of dating was, it's like, you just be a nice guy, be yourself, and when things will work out, and all this, this PUA bullshit, you don't need all that stuff, and blah, blah, blah. Fucking Paul Elam, the boomer MRAs literally advocated the way to get women is to take a shower and ignore them. That is like the most boomer dating advice I've ever heard.
Well, look, listen to boomer music, for fuck's sake. You'll never hear more pussy pedestaling than your average boomer music. Isn't it like that whiny fucking cuck like Frankie Valli or sometime? Like, holy shit.
I hate that guy.
I found the perfect clip for the boomer generation.
I mean, this is an accident, a forgotten perpetual public works project. You think anybody wants to ask questions? All they want is a clear conscience and a fat paycheck.
Was that from Cube?
Yep.
I thought that was from Cube. Yeah, great movie, by the way. Absolutely recommend Cube if you haven't seen it.
Not the other ones, though.
No, don't worry. I never saw any of the sequels to it because I just couldn't imagine how a sequel could do anything but lessen that movie.
It can't. It does lessen it. Cube squared is terrible.
Yeah, those don't exist. Those were just bad dreams we had.
But don't even get me started about the boomers and the church. They absolutely
I can't imagine. Yeah. Well, I constantly shit on Breakpoint. And, if I were to sum up all my biggest problems with a site like Breakpoint and so many evangelical leaders, boomer posting. Okay? That's my biggest problem with them. Okay? The boomer...
just don't even get me started on the current evangelical cry fest.
Oh, my... What a vile... And think about it, the boomer evangelicals who all want to get up on a high horse and cry about how Trump's I can't believe the poor character of Trump. Meanwhile, these fuckers couldn't suck W's dick hard enough. That motherfucker was A, war criminal, B, a fucking cokehead who spent his life pissing away daddy's money. And I would also like to point out, if we're going to contrast Trump and W for a second here, Trump, despite growing up in despite raising them in opulence, and despite raising them through divorces, managed to raise extremely well-adjusted children. Meanwhile, W's daughters are whores.
Well, you can contrast Trump with MLK and see a big difference there.
Oh, MLK. That's another one they can't suck. Because boomers left all their every fucking white boomer in the West left their children a country in which they will be a minority in their own fucking country because boomers didn't want to be called racist.
And because they didn't want to mow their own fucking lawns or cook their own fucking food.
Like, okay, yeah, you know what? I Have a Dream is a really, really pretty speech full of some very, very pretty ideals, okay? But I'm not going to sit here and act like Martin Luther King wasn't a fucking communist shitbag who left a string of fucking bastard children all across this country. And neither should you cocksucking boomer, just because you're afraid somebody's going to call you racist.
Oh, let's add in how when they were in their 20s and 30s, they worked good union factory jobs and made lots of money. But then when they got to their 50s, they outsourced all those jobs to Mexico because they wanted to save 3 cents on buying stuff. They wanted to save.
Yeah, you want to sit here and be like, how come you live in your parents' basement, you millennials? Because there are no fucking jobs. Because back when you were my age, in the fucking 70s, you could go work at like an air conditioner repairman, and you were making enough money to have a fucking house and a car and support your wife and your kids, and have a fucking dog and a cat. Meanwhile, somebody who works that job now, they're living in their parents' basement eating fucking ramen.
Well, it's like that meme, the boomer meme is like, when I was your age, I only made $15,000 a year. Not saying that in 1979, $15,000 would have been worth like $55,000 today.
Yeah, fuck you. Fuck the boomers. Like, what an absolute And you know what? My generation is full of fucking problems. The millennials, especially the ones younger than me, holy shit, are they fucked up. But you know what? I look at them with a tinge of sympathy because they were kids that A, were pumped full of feminism and Ritalin all through their fucking formative years. B, were latchkey kids raised by the fucking television and the internet. And C, now that they're adults, they're staggering around in the ruins of a society that you fucking wrecked, not sure what the hell to do with a useless degree that you told them to get because follow your heart and the money will follow. And they don't know what to fucking do. And even this social justice warrior horse shit, that is them desperately trying to build a god because you killed God.
Yeah, the millennials were born in a broken world, and they have no idea what a normal world looks like. The boomers were born in paradise, and they burned it down for the price of nothing.
And they burned it down, and the greatest generation wasn't that great. I'm sure a lot of your dad's baby boomers were kind of distant because he was shell-shocked, because he saw some of the most horrific carnage the world had ever seen, and he wanted to come home and just have a peaceful job, and he wanted you to shut up and just enjoy the luxuries of life he was giving you. I get it. Your dad was a little distant. Maybe he didn't fucking hug you enough. All right. But does that really excuse the horrifying monsters you all turned into?
Perhaps, oddly enough, the quote unquote baby boomer that's the most reliable in this are the people who are actually most scripture, more or just focusing on like the Bible thumpers that you could call them.
Well, like Pastor Tom said, don't think that the boomer poison hasn't infected the church.
No, it really has. It's, I mean, just, go watch the MLK conference. It's insane. They're just, I mean, literally you're hearing the same kind of nonsense that you were hearing from Anita Sarkeesian about women listen and believe. It's the same thing in regards to minorities. I mean, they are pushing that very hard right now. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, the boomers wrecked the Catholic Church. The boomers wrecked the Catholic Church years ago with both the. I'm pretty sure a disproportionate amount of the pedophilia in the Catholic Church comes from boomer priests and whatnot, and also they brought in the whole not prosperity gospel, not social justice, liberation theology, and all that horseshit about how no human being is illegal. My fucking Catholic high school had an Amnesty International chapter. That's how far gone it was 15 years ago when I was in high school.
Well, and they basically told people that theology didn't matter, that, church, rather than being a place to go and do business with God, church became a social hangout. It became a place to network for various other jobs, and so by and large with evangelical culture, you sucked the core of it out of it and made it more about numbers and buildings and all of this kind of stuff. And then you wonder why your kids are abandoning the church and why they're going to all this other nonsense, why they're slipping into secularism. It's like, well, you don't care. You care more about getting your kids to a baseball game every weekend than sending them to church. You care more about your fishing trip or your beach house than you do about being in the house of God. And then you wonder why your kids don't think that God's not important, that you don't really seem to believe this stuff. Maybe it's because you really don't seem to believe this stuff. You just go through it because your parents believed it. They followed it. They forced you to do it. And so now it's habit. And you think that that's what you're going to pass down to your kids, but it's not.
And see, these boomers, they want to shake their fist at the kids and they want to be like, oh, they're just abandoning God. They don't want to hear these spiritual things. Meanwhile, Jordan Peterson will do a lecture on the book of Genesis and fill a packed room with young men. Okay? Maybe they do want to hear about it. Maybe the problem is you.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Jordan Peterson's got issues too, though. And
Well,
he's a liberal in regard to the Bible as well.
I get that. That's fine. But the point is, he's actually analyzing the book of Genesis and people want to hear it. He's analyzing books of the Bible and people want to hear it. People want to analyze it. People want it. All right?
Oh, thank you for getting Matt Chandler off the screen.
And the other thing about boomers, and I mentioned this on a weekday stream, I believe I did, and I know not as many people watch those as the Saturday stream, so I'll go over it again. What are two things that boomers absolutely despise with a deep, burning, psychotic passion? Rap music and video games. And it dawned on me a little while ago exactly why that is. And I mean, they despise these things. When I was a kid in like the 90s, boomers in fucking Congress were trying to destroy these things. They were trying to basically outlaw these fucking things. And you know why? Because they didn't have them when they were kids. They might have problems with modern music, but like, you know, like rock music, that existed in some form or another when they were kids. Rap music didn't. Video games didn't. Now, look, you may think, okay, rap music's a bunch of degenerate gangster shit. That's fine. But understand something. That's not why boomers hate it. Boomers hate it because it didn't exist when they were kids, and they don't understand it. And if it didn't exist when they were a teenager, it's fucking wrong in their minds. These guys never stopped being a fucking teenager. And a perfect example of this is Bill O'Reilly. Back in the early 2000s, I believe 03, Ludacris, the rapper, was supposed to be in a bunch of Pepsi commercials. Bill O'Reilly had a huge shit fit and just rose a big old stink about it until Pepsi actually fired Ludacris from the commercials. Interestingly enough, Ludacris actually still got paid, so I don't know what you really proved there, Bill. But Ludacris was then promptly replaced by fucking Ozzy Osbourne, and Bill O'Reilly said nothing about that. Now, are you going to look me in the eyes and tell me that Ludacris is somehow more degenerate than Ozzy Osbourne? This motherfucker who sings about the devil and bites the head off a bat on stage is somehow worse than the guy who talks about slapping a hoe around? And everybody got after Bill O'Reilly for that. All the liberals got after him talking about how he's racist. It's not that he was racist. It's just that he fucking hates rap music. On a personal level, he hates it. Boomers fucking hate video games. Boomers despise video games. Boomers will sit there and watch 14 fucking hours of some bullshit cowboy show rerun from the fucking 50s. And they'll think you're wasting your life if you play an hour of video games.
Boomers are obsessed with fucking TV and fucking movies. Just this passive entertainment that doesn't require any sort of general thought. The thing with video games that you have to be engaged in them at least. I'd say it's a better way to spend your time than a lot of just mindlessly watching. I don't know, I Love Lucy or whatever it is they fucking watch.
Yeah. And like I said, you can sit here and be like, "Well, I think rap music is a bunch of fine." That's fine if you hate rap music. That's not what I'm here to debate. I'm here to talk about the fact that you don't hate it for the same reason they do. They hate it for entirely emotional reasons. It didn't exist when they were kids, and they don't like it. They don't understand it. People are having fun that they don't understand, and they don't like it.
Podcast. Yeah. There's a common link in all of this, and that adolescents, kids, and teenagers are usually the first adopters of any new medium of entertainment: comic books, movies, music, and video games. So naturally, any budding form of entertainment is considered kid stuff and a toy, and shouldn't be taken seriously by adults.
Howard, I thought I told you to stop wasting your money. Sorry, and you be ashamed of yourself.
However, when the adult creators of the medium try to expand the appeal of that medium to a more adult demographic, it's met with resistance by the religious, social, and political establishments, and they hold power rallies under the guise of protecting the children.
Oh, I just got a response from I Feel Fine there. He says, Bechtloff, get bent. Like, get bent. You even sound like a pussy when you're insulting people.
Yeah, Patrick Dickinson used to rip these people in general before he got off social media all the time. Like, boomers have no idea how to insult people. They're as good as insulting people as they are as good as at being soldiers in the war that they were drafted to fight in but tried to weasel out of.
And you know what? Yeah, that's the other thing. Okay, so you're drafted in this war, and you believe it's wrong, right? Now, the way a man would stand up for his principles, Boomer, is he would just say, no, I'm not going. Throw me in jail if you must, but I'm not going. I think it's wrong. That's what a man would do. That's not what you pussies do. You enrolled in a fucking university even though you didn't want to try and get out of it, or you fled to Canada. You ran away from it.
Or you
stand your ground on your principles and say, I'm not going. The answer is no. Throw me in jail if you must. The answer is no.
Or even worse, they'd invent some sort of mysterious medical ailments. Like there was some senator from the South who got out of serving in Vietnam because he apparently had a busted knee, a knee that mysteriously recovered when he aged, when he was too old to be drafted. And I think it was Rush Limbaugh actually got out of the draft by basically claiming he had a cyst in his ass. Jeez. God, how pathetic do you have to be that you're going to go around claiming you have a cyst in your ass just so you can get out of serving in the military?
You know what? I was of draft age when the Iraq War was a big thing, and if I'd have been drafted in that, because I knew it was horseshit right from the get go, I'd have just said no. And you know what? throw me in jail. You know what? Send me to fucking boot camp. But what am I going to do? I'm just going to not march. I'm going to sit on the fucking bus and not get off the bus. Like, you know, eventually they'll just, I don't know, throw me in jail or just send me home. I'll just go fucking Gandhi nonviolent resistance. But I'm not going to run away like a little bitch. If I'm going to stand on a principle, I'm going to fucking stand on that principle. I can respect a conscientious objector because sometimes that's a voice that needs heard. But that's not what you boomers did. You weren't conscientious objectors. You were cowards.
And sports ball. I mean, Snake and Chief brought this up in the chat. They're obsessed with sports ball. Boomers are. Fucking sports ball.
Oh. Fuck the boomers. Fuck that generation. What a bunch of worthless cocksuckers. And this boomer right now, he claims he muted me and he's gabbing at me or tweeting at me, whatever you call it on Gab. Typical boomer shit. You know, Gab doesn't have a block button, but it's basically the Twitter equivalent of tweeting at someone from behind a block button. What a faggot.
I would just, like, you know, reply and was like, I thought you muted me, you dumb boomer pussy or something like that.
Yeah, hang on a second. Anybody listening, if you have fucking Gab, the gentleman's Gab is I feel fine. You know, all one word there. The letter I,
that's
the word
your
feel, the word fine. Why don't you have a conversation with this cocksucker?
It's your mission to make him not feel
you better
fine
hurry
anymore.
because it's 10 o'clock and it's probably well past his bedtime, so you might want to hurry.
Well, he might be staying up late to watch Saturday Night Live, so.
Oh, yeah, you got to watch Saturday Night Live because, again, you can't admit anything's not like it was when you were young, you know. Oh, what worthless fucking cocksuckers.
Yeah, his name is I Feel Fine, and your mission is to make him not feel fine anymore. His name is Beatles Baby, and your job is to give this rude baby a spanking.
Fucking Beatles. Holy shit, dude. Like, can you imagine if fucking millennials, like, millennial men, no less, are walking around 50 years from now, like, sucking the Backstreet Boys' dick still? Like, holy shit, dude.
I'll probably still be listening to St. Vincent in 50 years, but I sure as hell won't be prophesizing it to everyone like a fucking...
No. It's fine to, like shit. It's fine to be nostalgic. That's not what I'm criticizing. Like, look, I am going to forever be nostalgic for music that existed from about 97 to 2002. Okay, because that's like my high school years, my teenage years, into like after high school and shit like that. You know, when a song is on the radio the first time you grab a boob or get your dick sucked, it's going to tend to endear itself to you. I understand that. All right. There's songs I fucking hate it from that time around that I like when they come on now because it reminds me of certain happy memories. All right. That's fucking fine. I'm not criticizing that. All right. But I'm not going to walk around and act like this narrow little window of time when I was a teenager is the only time good music was ever made. And everything before and since was trash. And that's what fucking boomers do.
So what you're saying is, Bechtloff, in 50 years, you're not going to be calling yourself Taylor Swift, baby?
No. All right. Yeah, in 50 years from now, I'm not going to be like, oh, check out this NSYNC album. Check out fucking Fred Durst. All right. It's just, it's awesome.
Check out Alien Ant Farm.
Yeah, you got to check out this Korn album. I hated it when it was new, but my girlfriend fucking loved it. I remember getting my dick sucked when it was on. So I just now in my 60s think it's the most amazing thing that ever happened. Because I haven't actually had sex with a woman in 50 years because my dick doesn't work. Like, that's a boomer, all right? That's a boomer right there.
Good. You're on fire tonight, Bechtloff.
Like,
well, you heard the wind.
White hot fire.
The Beatles remind me of back when my dick worked.
Well, you heard the windbag. We've been drafted. Everyone into the ship.
Whoa, hold on. I refuse to fight. I'm a conscientious objector.
A what?
You know, a coward.
Like I said, man, I can respect standing your ground and saying, no, I'm not going. I'm not going. This is wrong. I'm having no part of it. That's okay, fine. But you stand your fucking ground. You know what? Like you know what you do? You get the draft letter and you just write in red marker, no, and mail it back. That's what and then just go about your life until they arrest you. That's what you do. All right. That's how you do. You just say no.
Henry David Thoreau, resisted having his taxes, being funneled to pay for wars that he didn't agree with by refusing to pay his taxes and going to jail because he refused to pay his taxes.
Exactly. That's how a man makes a stand. You boomers ran away to Canada and university like cowards. Any boomer that did what I described and said, I'm not going to Vietnam to kill some stranger for no fucking reason, and then just said no, and maybe they drug him to jail, or maybe they took him to boot camp, and every time the drill sergeant said, drop it, give me 20, he said, suck my dick. I could respect that. All right? That's respectable. That's not what you guys did. I don't know, maybe one or two of you fucking did that, but, that's not what you guys did. Because you weren't objecting on any kind of moral principle grounds. You were cowards.
Well, guys, I'm going to have to head out, but good stream. Thanks for having me on, Bechtloff, as always. Thanks. Good to talk to you, Matt and Luke. So,
good thing, man. Have a good night.
Welcome on every time, Pastor.
All right, yep. Everyone listening, hope y'all have a good weekend and good Sunday tomorrow. Now, I'll talk to you guys later. See ya.
I did get a little fired up about the boomers, didn't I? Holy shit. What
Tell us what you really think,
generation. What a worthless fucking generation. You know what? I mean, like, the Gen Xers are up their own ass, and they're just, like, cynical to the point of uselessness. And holy shit, we can talk about what's wrong with the millennials till the cows come home. But I'll take either one of those over the fucking boomers. There's as a generation, of course you're speaking in generalities when you're talking about a generation, obviously. But as a generation, there is nothing redeemable about you people.
Yeah, you could probably get the Gen Xers to act normal if you lock them in a closet and then we can slap them around. But the boomers basically, kill it with fire. Nuke it from orbit. It's the only way to be sure.
I'm telling you, the fucking ice flow. I mean, the fucking ice flow is what they deserve. Just put them on a fucking chunk of ice, push it out to sea, let them just fucking die like that.
Well, even better, it's like when the economy crashes and they all go broke, we can just fucking let them starve on the street.
Just eat the boomers. Let's just eat the boomers. Instead of cooking babies like the liberals, let's just eat the boomers.
And you know what happens when that happens? When the boomers start going broke and getting turfed out onto the streets, when they're poor and starving, they're going to demand that euthanasia be legalized so they don't have to live through it. That's what they're going to do. Euthanasia will be illegalized in America because boomers don't want to deal with the hell of having to.
I'll sign up for that bill as long as I get to be the one to personally do it. I can just assure you guys it's not going to be quick. When the light finally, to quote Marv in Sin City, when the light finally dims in your eyes, the hell I send you to will seem like heaven after what I did to you.
Yeah, I'm all for legalizing euthanasia, but the only legal euthanasia method should be death by 1,000 cuts.
No, legal euthanasia should be we hand you a knife and leave you alone.
Yeah, years ago on my old Amalfi blog, I wrote an article about this, like, how the boomers and the Tea Party were freaking out over losing their entitlements. It's like, if you want to preserve your entitlements, we've created something called the, what did I call it? The Elderly Cranial Evacuation Boomstick. We just mail it to your house. You put the elderly cranial evacuation pellets into the barrel. You spin the chamber. You put it in your mouth. Make sure to aim at your medulla oblongata, the part that controls your heartbeat, and then pull the trigger.
Yeah, if it were up to me, that we'd pass a bill right now that says every baby boomer is to be executed unless he can find 10 people that were born after 1980 that will personally vouch for this person can stay. You know what? Let's make it 20. 20 people that can personally vouch that this person should be allowed to stay.
Are you going to move down to 5 like Sodom and Gomorrah?
20. If 20 people could vouch for you that you're not a piece of shit, all right, you could stay. You could stay. And I bet you half of your fucking generation couldn't make that fucking requirement.
Oh no.
Hello.
What do you mean it's time to flow? Well, when an Eskimo gets too old or weak to contribute to society, the whole family gets together and everybody walks to the ocean.
That's right. And then the revered old Eskimo is proudly placed on an ice floe and sent out to sea so he can die with dignity.
And pride.
Yeah, the boomers make me realize Logan's Run might have had a point.
Or Anthem.
I remember a commercial. This was years ago. It was 2012, 2011, 2013, maybe. It was when they were selling these fucking hover rounds to these boomers, which, by the way, if you're on a hover round and you have 2 fucking legs, put a gun in your mouth. Okay? Put a gun in your mouth. Do it right now. Just say to Jesus, I'm sorry. Put a gun in your mouth and pull the fucking trigger. And just please, just go. Okay, just fuck off out of this life. If you need a hover round for any reason, but you have only 1 or perhaps 0 legs.
Well, the problem, Bechtloff, is like they're so fat the bullet might actually get lodged in the fat.
So I'm seeing these commercials for these hover rounds, and it's just that annoying fucking jingle. You can go in your hover round. You can go to hell in your hover round, buddy. But you can go in your hover round, okay? And I'm seeing this boomer, and he looks at the camera, and the nerve of this cocksucker, his little grandson, or whoever's playing his grandson in this commercial, is there with him. And he's looking at the camera, and he goes, my hover round didn't cost me a penny. And I just thought there should be like an end to this commercial where he just look like there's like a forced perspective angle on his face, and it says, but it cost my grandson his country. Like, that's how it should have ended. Like, I wish I could I wish these. God.
It cost last year. My hover round didn't cost me a penny.
Look at the kid. Look at the kid. First of all, the kid looks fucking 56 as hell. All right, but look at the kid. Like, it cost him his country, you cocksucker, in your faggy golf hat. Like I hope, are these things hooked up to the Wi-Fi? Can we get fucking Anonymous to hack them so they all go off the goddamn cliff?
Fucking flat cap too. Anyone who wears a flat cap is a irredeemable faggot.
I have to admit, I went through a phase in my 20s where I wore those flat caps all the time, but that was because I was in my 20s and I was ironically wearing an old man hat when I'm not an old man.
I wore a flat cap for about 3 months in 2012.
I used to put them on backwards too, because they kind of have that artistic douchebag vibe when you put them on backwards. I kind of like them that way, but I haven't worn one in years because, see, I'm in my 30s now, so I'm not a young man anymore, so I can't ironically wear old people shit. You know what I mean? Oh, fuck you, buddy. Every time I saw the commercial, I'm like, I can't remember the last time I've wanted to murder somebody on the TV box more. Like, holy shit. Oh, fucking boomers. And I know a lot of the people in that commercial were actually like fucking World War II guys. And don't get me wrong, there's problems with those cocksuckers. The fucking, the Roosevelt generation was the first of the fucking handout motherfuckers. All right, but right now, because this commercial is damn near 10 years old. Now it's all fucking boomers in these things. And look, none of these fuckers need that shit. Just fucking walk, you old cocksucker.
This is why you're fat. This is why you motherfuckers are fat.
It's supposed to be like a sign of shame when you need these things. Oh, fuck, man. Fucking Logan's Run was right. All right, we need to put fucking gems in motherfuckers' hands, and when you run out of your goddamn entitlement money, that gem turns black, and you hover around like the seatbelt contracts on it, and you can't turn it off, and it just takes you right to the nearest dock, right into the fucking ocean. Oh, man. Fucking boomer genocide win.
If only I could find that clip of Wings Redemption saying, the whole point of my life is being fat and getting kicked.
It's in the Wings of Redemption Rage 3 video. At timestamp 207, I believe.
all this rant, I didn't even get to reading the article. I didn't even start reading this fucking article.
Well, who cares what the article says?
It's like
you want,
yeah, boomers are
awesome
finding
rants.
a new, here. Let me sum up the article for you. Boomers are finding new and exciting dumb shit to piss away money on.
Yeah, that's all you need to know. Actually, I remember a story about this was like a couple years ago. It's like how the rate of STDs among boomers is climbing because of their quote unquote active sex lives. So they can't even stop being degenerates in old age. They're still fucking without condoms and spreading herpes to each other.
Fucking Viagra. You know, Michael Savage used to call the Fox News audience Viagra Republicans, and holy shit, did that turn out to be accurate.
$8 yet. I just get. That's my life. My life is just waking up, being fucking fat, and getting kicked. That's all it is.
That is like how the boomers live and how they die.
Oh, jeez. Oh man, fucking boomers. I almost worked myself up to being emotionally tired yelling at these cocksuckers because like I just can't stand them, man. I remember at my last major job that I had, the one that I got laid off for about a year ago, and I liked that job a lot. Don't get me wrong. I had a really great boss at that warehouse job, but I had a lead directly under him, and this cocksucker baby boomer lead. You know what? We're going to call him Carl because I don't want to actually name anybody that I used to work with. Carl, holy shit. He did nothing there. And the few times he actually had to do some work, was he pissy about it. But like the typical boomer, he's playing his bullshit fucking 60s and 70s music all fucking day at his desk. And he would get pissy. I could basically play anything at my desk and he did, and nobody cared. But if there was swearing, he would get his fucking panties in a knot over it. This cocksucker is playing all these fucking rock songs about being a rebel, and he gets his panties in a knot over the fact that somebody said cunt or faggot or fuck, right? And like a typical pussy boomer, he would come and say like, what if somebody was coming through the warehouse and heard that? So like a client or something. He couldn't just say, I don't like hearing it. Because that would actually be, being a man. Kind of like what I talked about with the conscientious objector thing. You don't just stand your ground and say, no, you run your ass away to Canada. Likewise, you don't just say like, I don't like hearing that. You say like, somebody else might not like hearing it. Go fuck yourself, Carl. You're the one thing from that job I never missed. Holy shit. And it's funny, too, because I stayed in touch with other people there, and they were like, why couldn't it have been him that went? Because our department, we lost one person, and I had the least seniority. Ugh. Well, holy shit. I got myself all worked up. I might have to like get myself calmed down because some of us got church in the morning. So I don't know. We might go ahead and wrap this up then. Somebody says boomers are the prototype soy boys. Fucking boomers. All right. So, folks, if you enjoy this content, if you enjoy the live stream I do, you big fan of hearing me rant. You can check out the sponsors down below. We got Steve's Jerky, we got Ann Sterzinger's new ebook, and we got the Asshole Consulting, all great stuff. And also, we got the Patreon, where you can become a regular supporter. We got the PayPal, where you can become the Patreon, you can become a regular supporter. We got the PayPal, where you can send a one-time donation of any amount. And we got the Amazon wish list. So, like I said, folks, if you enjoy the show, it's great if you could contribute to it. We don't have the super chats anymore. I'll have that when I'm back on the Bechtloff channel. I know a lot of people like using super chats. There's just nothing I can do about it right now. I'm sorry.
Well, if you keep this going for,
I'll let you talk, Luke.
If you keep this going for a month, Bechtloff, you'll be able to get super chats within a month.
Maybe.
So everyone, watch the stream, watch it again, and then watch it again for the full flavor.
As soon as you get 1,000 subscribers, of course.
Also, if you're watching this on the Bechtloff channel, because we do upload these later on the Bechtloff channel, down below you'll see a link where you can subscribe to the Land Shark channel, the backup channel, and that's greatly appreciated. This channel it doesn't have a good URL, it doesn't have as catchy a name, so it's harder to find. So I would suggest subscribing to it, especially if you don't follow me on Gab and Facebook, where I post.
And remember to hit the bell so that you get notifications.
Yeah, and make sure you turn off that pesky ad block. Actually, I don't even think this channel's fucking monetized. It doesn't qualify. I still get a few cents a day from fucking ads on the Bechtloff channel into my AdSense account. All right, folks. And that's all we got for this week. I want to thank you all for listening. Forney, are you doing a stream tomorrow night?
Yes, I am. Luke. Luke will be joining me, I presume.
Okay.
Oh yes, I plan to be there.
All right.
Yeah, it's 7 p.m. Eastern. Fun times. Check it out. YouTube.com/user/realmatt40. I didn't quite know what this stream was about, but I want to urge you to subscribe to my YouTube channel.
Wasn't paying attention, but all right. Yeah, that's all we got for this week, folks. I want to thank you all for listening. Bechtloff out.